Hey guys, and welcome to a Democracy 3 video. We're going to try and do something with the US of A. Now, it states here the United States of America is a federal republic consisting of 50 states. It's the third largest country by land area and population, and also the world's largest national economy, with an estimated 19% of total global GDP when measured by purchasing power parity. It accounts for 39% of global military spending, despite containing 4% of the global population. And the US President acts as both head of state and head of government, as well as Commander-in-Chief of the US Armed Forces. A couple of interesting facts at the bottom. The obesity rate is over 30%. The Big Mac index is $4.2, and the beef consumption is £57 per person. Wow. Right, let's kick this off. So, we will call ourselves let's just call ourselves the Democrats against the Republicans. So it's a 4-year term length and a 2-term limit. We'll keep everything else at the same. And let's go. So if you've not played Democracy 3 before, it's a political simulator. The graphics are quite rudimentary. Obviously, it's just yeah, I'll quit the tutorial because I know what I'm doing. But it's quite a rudimentary interface, but it's a very interesting game. So we'll go straight into it. Welcome to your new job as president. The lives of all 316,668,000 citizens are now in your hands. As you will imagine, there are a number of situation concerns that you'll need to deal with as soon as possible, while keeping an eye on the long-term improvement of our citizens' quality of life. Plus, don't forget that you face re-election in 4 years, so you'll need to monitor the opinion polls and the party membership. Good luck. Now, I'm not playing with electioneering, so there are a couple of things that aren't included. But basically, this is your main screen. If it looks complicated, it's because it is a little bit, but you'll start to understand things. So if we want to just straight up go and have a look at certain things, so we'll start with this bit in the middle. This shows all the happiness of everybody, and including the main, the percentage of the entire electorate intend to vote for you. So looking at this, seems like Liberals are very unhappy at the moment. So if we highlight over Liberals, it shows us. So the red are ones that makes them less happy, and the green are ones that makes them happier. So, for example, at the moment, the Liberals like the fact that the Food Standards Agency, if we click in, we can have a look, is only set to medium. And I assume if we put that up, the Liberals, are a little bit happier about that. And clicking, and that's basically a general gist of it. You can click in to find stuff, but if you hover over things, you can also see different other types. So there's these white ones, which are your policies. There's the blue ones, which are more general information. So GDP is a good one to look at. So it's very complicated. Granted, there's a lot of things that contribute to GDP, but there's inwards arrows, so they're things that contribute to the GDP, and there's outwards arrows, which the GDP contributes to. So, for example, the GDP at the moment quite heavily contributes to unemployment. If you click in, you can actually see this. So you can see the unemployment rate, and you can look at the causes. So you can see GDP is massive causes there. You can also look at the effects. So the more unemployed people, the more unemployment benefit that will be needed. It's pretty simple to understand, really, isn't it? There'll be less commuters because they're unemployed, they're not commuting. Increased racial tension, which can be due to many different things. But, I think the higher unemployment, the more there might be some racial tension amongst unemployed people towards other races. That's what this game's trying to insinuate, anyway. So on top of this, there's also the red and the greens. So they're pretty simple, they're pretty similar, but they're different types of things. So, uncompetitive economy. Our workers' lack of relative productivity and competitiveness is causing our exports to fail and flooding our country with cheap imports made overseas. So the red ones are problems, and they have a start trigger, which is up there, and a stop trigger. So it's for them to start, they have to be quite high up, but for them to stop, they have to go quite low. So the example for this one is because of the corporation tax, the economy is not as competitive. Productivity is taking this down massively though, because productivity is relatively high. Example of a green one is the technological advantage. So our country is leading the world in a number of major areas of science and technology. This is caused by our general technology level, the space program, and the creationism versus evolution debate policy. So the technology is very high at the moment, which gives us technological advantage, but also starts a problem, starts internet crime. So, there are things that you may think they are just good things, but they're not always. So let's have a look at the general popularity. So at the moment it's only 14.25%. So if we go into the polls, we can see different voter types, how much they plan to vote for us, how happy they are with us. So the retired are actually quite happy with us at the moment. Thanks to state pensions, private pensions, things like that. Patriots are happy. Liberals, parents, trade unionists are not happy. But if we click into everyone, we can see certain things that affect everybody. So the crime is a big one, and the internet crime, as well as the tobacco tax. So crime seems to be a big problem at the moment, and solving that would make everyone a little bit happier with us. So we can try and have a look at this. So we'll have a look at the causes of crime, so obviously things like armed police, the police force, prisoner tagging, that all contributes a little bit to crime. And so does education. A more educated population means less crime. Of course. However, if we look at the causes that improve this crime indicator, and by improve I mean increase the crime, antisocial behaviour, alcohol abuse, drug addiction, homelessness, and internet crime. So antisocial behaviour and alcohol abuse are two quite big ones, and alcohol abuse is also something that, here we go, is costing us 46 billion. But obviously that'll have a big effect on the state health service cost, which is why it's increasing our costs. So the alcohol abuse is due to the alcohol consumption, of course, but I feel like antisocial behaviour is also caused by alcohol consumption. So we need to try and reduce the alcohol consumption, in theory. This antisocial behaviour, this alcohol abuse, is causing some issues. So what's the best way we can reduce the consumption of alcohol? Well, one of the best ways to do it is an alcohol law. So at the moment, the minimum age is 21. We could improve this so it's low strength beer only, or we could even put strong restrictions in place. But now the problem is that's going to not impress the Liberals, who are already not very happy with us anyway, and the youth are also going to be a lot angrier with us. So we will not confirm that. So one of the best ways of reducing alcohol consumption is that, but then the problem is it just causes a little bit of an issue there. So poverty and unemployment also causes the alcohol abuse. And the low GDP at the moment is a big problem, so we could potentially help with getting that up a little bit. And there is a bit of a skills shortage as well. There's a lot of problems in the US. So where should we start? We also have up here, so this is your political capital, which is the amount you can spend. So if I change jury trials, raising it would cost 8, lowering would cost 10, cancelling it altogether, would cost 25. So you gain political capital depending on your cabinet. The better your cabinet is, the more they will earn you. And obviously you have your income, your expenditure, your deficit, and the amount of debt you have. So it's quite well known the US has a lot of debt. That's $3.2 trillion of debt. So we do have to keep an eye on that, because we are running a deficit at the moment, so the debt will continue to increase. And the debt is actually, over 200, nearly 300% of the income we earn. So we are going to have a look at that. We are going to have to try and balance the books somehow. The problem is, the biggest way to balance the books is tax. We don't actually have enough political capital to increase tax right now, or income tax anyway. But increasing that would put us straight into, a positive. A deficit of 96 billion isn't too much, but it's not great, and we do need to try and figure out a way of resolving that. So we can have a look at expenditure, we can try and reduce expenditure, or we can try and increase income. So military spending is obviously massive in America, and that is an area where I potentially may look to decrease the expenditure. We can reduce it by about 60 billion. It will cost a lot, that'll cost most of our political capital, but I think it's way too high at the moment, and we don't need it to be that high. So we can also have a look at income. So we could say like government borrowing is because of our deficit. Corporation tax, sales tax, but obviously income tax is the huge policies. So this little light bulb is our new policies tab, where we can look at foreign policy, welfare, economy, tax, public services, law and order, and transport. A lot of these can be simple things, so like fuel efficiency standards, doesn't cost much money, and it shows your popularity with the voters. Then it also shows the potential costs if you have a really high one or if you have a really low one, and it gives you a bit of an explanation in the details. There aren't many new things I can come up with only 6 political capital at the moment, so we might have to continue. But I was hoping we can try and find a little something, and this is the perfect one, I think. So an alcohol awareness campaign should hopefully ensure that people are aware of the dangers of alcohol. They might, maybe, do it a little less. So the only effect this has is the alcohol consumption. It's not the most popular with voters, however, I feel like it's very important to do. Now you can see here an implementation delay of 2, which is the maximum amount of time it takes for the policy to be implemented, or change from one value to another. So you can't just flip the switch and increase income tax by 10%. It'll be a slow increase, which is sort of to simulate the time it would take to get these sort of things through. And for some of these, it's like the alcohol awareness campaign. People aren't going to stop drinking alcohol the second they see the advert. It's a slower thing that would cause this. So I'm going to apply that change. And we've only got 4 political capital, so I think we'll continue to the next phase. So this simulates, I believe, a quarter. And a couple of things come up here. So you can have a look at your GDP, health, education, poverty, crime and unemployment. Crime's still quite high, but it has taken a small drop there. So hopefully this alcohol thing might be having a bit of an effect. So we've got an urgent policy question that requires our attention, which is debt protection law. They provide credit to people whom larger, more resourceful companies will not lend money, but they are quite predatory. This is a thing that could potentially have an impact one way or another depending on what you go. So allowing the agencies to operate will probably make capitalists feel a little bit better, because you're not infringing on their ability to make money. But if you limit the agent activity, it might help the poorer section of society, because even though they're not getting these loans anymore, this is something that does affect them very negatively in the long term. So I'll limit this agency activity. So you have economic forecast, budget report, the polls and the cabinet. So the cabinet, most of them are loyal, their effectiveness is passable, so we might want to get a few better people in, get some more political capital. The polls only have us at 29%, which is not great, but it's early days. And our credit rating's only BB. We need to fix that. The better we fix that, the lower our interest rate should be. Getting a better credit rating will help us earn money a little bit. And the economic forecast is the same area, but there is a relative GDP and there's a global economy. So the global economy is doing a little bit better at the moment, which will help everybody. It should reduce things a little bit. So you can see we've reduced the deficit a little bit. Not by a lot, but we've reduced it a little bit. So the military spending has actually gone below state pensions now, and it does take a little bit of time to cross over. So slowly but surely, the Patriots will be less happy with me. Same with state employees, but their membership will reduce a little bit. Employment may rise. Oh yeah, employment will rise because unemployment is dropping. The Liberals will be a little bit less angry with me, which is good, but it was more for the money that I cared about that than anything else. The alcohol awareness campaign has not had that great of an impact so far, but hopefully in the next couple of quarters we'll see a big impact from that. And we've got 29 political capital again, so we can look at doing something else. So if we have a look at Liberals, they're not very happy with the homelessness. And you know what? I'm not very happy about the homelessness either. So unemployment and poverty is a big cause of this, of course. Now you could just, put in a lot of... Oh, they don't actually have it in America, do they? I'm not too sure. Yeah, they don't actually have state housing. That's a very big cost, though. That's something that we probably don't want to look at. Because that is a very big... That's a very big cost, and we don't really have the money for that right now. So we could try and reduce the poverty or the unemployment. Granted, that's going to go up a little bit because of reduction in spending in military, but we should try and encourage, a bit of GDP to rise. I think the problem is at the moment we have an uncompetitive economy. The skills shortage is still quite high. I think we need to try and get a bit of better GDP. So we need to try and help, them start to grow a little bit. A good positive GDP is if the better GDP is, the better the economy's going, the more tax is going to start coming in. So it's always a good idea to have a good GDP. And it can even be affected by things like oil price, the global economy. But the uncompetitive economy is something I think I want to try and remove. So productivity is quite high at the moment, which is reducing it, but we could maybe get it even higher. Alcohol consumption is going to start going down, which will improve. The drug addiction is a problem. I feel like, narcotics are already pretty badly outlawed anyway. I mean, the narcotics issue is obviously caused by something else. Productivity. There is also the asthma epidemic, unemployment and poverty. So again, we really do need to try and get productivity up, but it is very difficult. It's not something that's so easily done. You know, at the moment, science funding's a bit low. We could improve that maybe, but again, it's quite a lot of money. You know what, I think it'll be worth it. It's a lot of money, so that would be an extra 50 billion. Let's get that down to maybe an extra 40 billion. And I'm happy to do that. It doesn't cost a lot of political capital, and it helps us quite a bit. Is there anything we can do when it comes to law and order? So these are all the things that we can't do yet because we don't quite have enough political capital. Some of them cost quite a lot. So things like ban divorce, ban homosexuality even. 48 political capital. Interestingly, that's quite popular with the voters. Community policing is very popular, but it's quite expensive. However, I feel like that's quite a good way of cutting crime. So I will apply that at the maximum. And we've still got a little bit more to go. I think we might want to try and... we can't boost sales tax. Let's have a look at maybe some different types of taxes. So luxury goods tax, that might be quite good. It's relatively popular. And public tax returns will reduce tax evasion. Now, that is a good point. We don't have a tax evasion problem at the moment. But you can't see these problems until they appear. So I don't think we need to do with that at the moment. A punitive tax on superstores? That's 52%, the luxury goods tax is 55%, but that will potentially give us quite a bit more money. I'm going to go for the punitive tax on the superstores. So a 38% tax, no, let's put it up to a 45%. That'll give us an extra 47.5 billion per quarter. And I think I'm relatively happy to move on unless there's anything. Internet crime is a bit of a problem. Can we increase the intelligence services? Not something I really agree on, but it has to be done. So the global economy again is doing quite well. The global economy is doing really well at the moment actually. And the polls are not great, but we have started going up in the polls, so that's good. People are starting to be a bit happier with us, which is nice. We've still got a 70 billion deficit despite this income on the superstores. But it's only 47 billion. State pensions is a massive expenditure, isn't it? My word, the space program's huge as well, but getting rid of alcohol abuse will be massive, but it just doesn't... Alcohol consumption, that's taken so long, that awareness campaign. There's got to be something else we can do to reduce the alcohol consumption. I think this is important. We don't actually have a lot of political capital at the moment anyway, but I'll do this definitely. Because it should, I believe, it doesn't say directly, but it should help improve GDP on the long term. So it's good to get it done as soon as possible. Now I'm 100% going to approve this ban, because at the moment we are horrifically struggling with this alcohol awareness campaign. So obviously the capitalists are a bit annoyed about that. And you can see they're annoyed by the debt protection law as well. And you can also see as well, they have sympathetic ministers, so if you have people that don't really like you, getting sympathetic ministers is good. See, they're really unhappy at ban alcohol adverts. Yeah, which is a little bit of a problem. But I think this alcohol issue is something that we need to get sorted. And it will probably take a while. The ban alcohol adverts has reduced it a little bit, but it's just... thing is, with a low GDP, people are going to be drinking more as well. It's a bit more of a depressing time. I think we could potentially improve state schools a little bit. It's just so much money. You know what? I'll do it. We need to go to modern textbooks. Let's put our spending up to 150 billion on that. Education's vitally important, more so than other things. I do kind of want to reshuffle the cabinet a little bit. Is there anyone... 2.6, 2.7 is not that great. You're like 4.6, 4.9. Retired and trade unionists. See, someone's already quite good at that. And we've got a 4.9, sympathies liberal and parents. Now they're not that happy with us at the moment. Experience isn't great, but loyalty is very high, and they've got good political capital, so I think they're perfect. Economy, retired and motorists. I will get rid of you, and we will bring in somebody else. So what about trade unionists, socialists, farmers, environmentalists? Religious capitalist could be a good one. And now you're really unhappy. We've actually reduced our capital there, haven't we? Yeah. That's not good. Okay, maybe I should have just reshuffled the cabinet entirely. We'll go to next term. Right, so there's been rubbish tip protests, and the credit rating again has been downgraded, which is not going to help our GDP. We need to start improving the money situation. I need to reshuffle this bloody cabinet though. Right, so this is foreign policy. So who wants the foreign policy job? You do, you're good. You have a sympathy with the environment, who are a bit of a problem at the moment. Welfare, So, does anybody want welfare who's any good? You do. Farmers and parents. Perfect. So, who wants the economy? Liberal and capitalist wants the economy job. Perfect. Anyone want the tax job? Conservatives, farmers. Definitely you. Public services. You'll do. Law and order. Do you. And transport. Very tempted to say you. So that'll give us 32 capital per turn, with a maximum of 44. So, obviously we've lost a bit already because we've had to rejig everything. To just leave this for now, because I want to try and increase income tax. So I can start to, you know... We need to regulate children's food. 15% of the polls want to vote for us. So this is the time to the next election. So we've got 12 turns yet. So that's still a while. And we can... See, nobody's going to be happy with this. An increase in income tax makes nobody happy. But I need to increase it. Because at the moment, so we're on 644. I'll increase it to 40, which is quite a big increase, but we can now start introducing some better public services and better welfare. So I'm going to do a little bit of state housing. Not a ton. I'm going to leave it at 90 billion per quarter. However, I think that could be a big boost for us. It will reduce homelessness and hopefully make people a little bit happier. So health has started to rise, which is nice. That's after the children's food regulation. It has a good effect of increasing productivity. It's quite low at the moment because we're on the lower end, but it increases productivity a bit, so that's good to have, I think. We've still got a while before the next election, so shouldn't worry too much about the polls right now. Alcohol abuse is finally starting to take a drop, which is fantastic. The awareness campaign's starting to have a bit more of an effect now, and the community policing is having a massive effect. I still want to reduce this unemployment. It is quite high. And it's mostly due to the GDP. Is there anything we do at the moment that we could maybe improve? See, that's the annoying thing. Things like getting rid of child labour law actually reduce GDP, which is fair enough. It would do in reality, but it's still a little bit frustrating. There you go, so small business grants. Was that the one I did? Maybe it wasn't. No, that was the business startup, wasn't it? However, I am going to boost that, even though it costs us quite a bit more. It's a very useful thing to have. So, has the tax fully gone up? Our deficit's been reduced. So our income's shot up. Our expenditure's also gone up. But it's nearly there. Can we do a bit of an increase in sales tax? We can. Which does improve poverty, though. So you know what? Instead... there is a tax that could have been put in. Here we go, we've got even more taxes now. Punitive wealth has dropped again, so... luxury goods tax is popular. It will only give us about 47 billion. So we'll put an 80% luxury goods tax, which will very, very, very much annoy the wealthy. And we need to improve this deficit and also reduce this expenditure. I am slightly tempted to reduce the state pensions. It's a very big cost, but we can't do it at the moment. So maybe I'll wait till the next turn. 14 political capital. Yeah, let's wait till next turn. We can have a look at some more extreme measures. Businesses are working people too hard, which leads to dangerously high levels of stress. There is calls for a limit on the hours that people work. That's a thing you can do, I believe. So there you go. Wealthy are less happy with this, but the Liberals are much happier. Parents are happier. Popularity in general is still not the highest, but we're getting there. Now, oil drilling is interesting. It can massively, massively increase your costs, and it's very unpopular. However, it does give you a much better fuel prices and stimulates the economy, but people aren't happy about that. I mean, America is very rural, so let's max that out because that'll improve GDP. And I'm also thinking the Young Entrepreneur Scheme will eventually help people a little bit, so we'll continue onwards. Oh, thank God, that'll massively help us. So you can see the GDP has already gone up. So the earlier problems of a lack of competitiveness by our companies has now subsided. Some of the things that I've put in have helped us a little bit, so that's good. Yeah, I think we need to allow them. That'll help. You know, capitalists will be happy because GM crops are allowed and they just like things being allowed. There you go. And also I think they just can be a bit of a help towards the economy a little bit. Makes things a bit cheaper. GDP is starting to rise now that the uncompetitive economy's gone. The skills shortage is still around. I've tried doing the education stuff as much as possible. Technology colleges are already quite high. That's a good idea, I think. So, rather than university grants is very expensive, and at the moment we still have a deficit. So, I think for now, something such as adult education subsidies will get people to, you know, improve their skills while also not costing us an absolute bomb. So we'll do that. See, now the petrol, the problem is that reduces GDP. I mean, they all do really, but we could boost the tobacco tax. It's very low at the moment. So I'll wait another turn, we'll get more political capital, and we can then get that done. I'll allow it. Oh, we get an election report now. Oh, and a security briefing, which isn't great. A real threat from an extremist terror group known as the Black Power Group. Okay. Is inequality? Okay, fair enough. There's a lot of racial tension at the moment. Caused by unemployment, immigration, and just general foreign relations. Damn, that is low. So I will improve the foreign aid, which will help our foreign relations, and also I can now improve the petrol tax. It is going to reduce our GDP a tiny little bit, but not that much that I really care. And it'll boost our... Oh, we're actually in a surplus now already. I didn't actually notice that. I should have checked that first. So how did that happen? Income spiked. GDP must be improving. It is a little bit, but not too much. That's really weird. So, yeah, middle incomes hate income tax, don't they? They don't like homelessness like anybody. Parents don't like the drug addiction. Yes, this is something I think I'm going to have to start getting involved in now, aren't I? I am going to wait a turn and then I'm going to invest in the State Health Service. It's expensive, but with the improved taxes... Yeah, we got them as well, haven't we? Vigilante mobs are now at an end, though, that's good. And we won an aerospace contract, which is amazing because it boosts GDP, reduces unemployment, and just helps in general. So that'll be great. And the polls are optimistic. We'll get 51% of the vote, apparently. However, we need to be careful because we might get assassinated by the Black Power Group. So we do need to try and do something to reduce this racial tension. So I've done an indirect one for that, but there are a couple of things. Is it public services? Stamp out Racism Week, that's the one. Something simple, but should reduce racial tension. We could also reduce the border controls. Which is going to annoy the Patriots a little bit. However, it will increase tourism, make the ethnic minorities happier. And to be honest, the Patriots are already very happy anyway. They're very supportive of us, and I don't think we will do that much to annoy them. Military spending's still high, the space program's high. Handgun law, you know, the laws are just that we can't have any machine guns. So that's good. That makes them happy. Our surplus is massive, and I want to try and keep it that way. Alcohol abuse is finally starting to drop a good amount. GDP is still contributing, but the GDP is going up very, very slowly. Internet crime is still around, which is affecting everyone. Crime and GDP. Is there anything we can do other than improving intelligence services? I don't really like doing that. Internet censorship's not very popular and it's quite a difficult thing to do. I think we're just going to have to... Ah, that was what I was looking for. Race Discrimination Act. We'll put that in as well. The Conservatives won't be too happy, but they're already very happy with us, and a little drop won't do too much. Alright, let's go to the next one. Okay, it looks like a number of people are angry about the way the government acts. Oh no. Okay. That was my bad. There's a brain drain, because the luxury goods tax is way too high. So I'm going to lower that. Or I could actually fully cancel it. I mean, we'll revert changes. We'll have a look in a minute. Corporate postman security found guilty of negligence. Yes, pass the law. Right, so that brain drain is going to cause a big problem in the future. We have a massive surplus, so I think I'm good to cancel this policy entirely, which should reduce the brain drain. Income tax isn't that big of a problem for it. I don't want to reduce income tax too much right now. The skills shortage is very nearly at an end. Adult education subsidies are starting to have a big effect on that, and that will again boost our GDP, which has slowly dropped now. Internet crime's on its way down. Alcohol abuse is on the way down. See, I don't just really want to go to low strength beer only, because I mean, liberals are already not exactly too happy at us. Making it worse isn't going to help. Community policing's already at the max. What about state policing? The police force in general? It's got to make someone unhappy, right? Or is it just investment? Oh, it's just investment. Oh, I see. Okay. It's not about the power they have, it's about the investment. So I'll improve that massively because it's very supportive. People are happy about that. Ethnic minorities are getting happier again, which is good. The Race Discrimination Act has helped massively, and racial tension is massively on the way down. So I shouldn't worry about them anymore, but it should start to go down now, he says. So state healthcare is something I really need to start investing in. It was something I wanted to invest in, but I don't think I have the money now, do I? Yes, I do. Okay, so I'll invest a little bit more in state healthcare. It will improve health. It will reduce the amount of private healthcare, which isn't a massive problem anyway, but it will reduce the drug addiction a little bit, make a few people a bit happier, makes the poor happier. And healthy population is a productive population, so tourism's starting to go up a bit again now, which is nice. Internet crime on the way down. We'll just go to the next stage. We haven't got enough political capital to do anything really. And our credit rating has been upgraded. Rejoice. The major international credit agencies have increased the creditworthiness of our governments. It will result in lower interest rates for our debt and may result in a boost to GDP because there's a higher level of confidence by foreign investors. So it's increased a bit. Capitalists are happy. The GDP has increased. Crime's going down. GDP is going down because the global economy is in recession. So as you can see, the global economy has taken a sharp downturn and there's now a big recession, which has also resulted in our income going down, as you can see that. So that's not a huge problem. The brain drain will be at an end very soon because I've cancelled the luxury goods tax. The alcohol abuse is still dropping, should be gone soon. Internet crime is dropping slowly. There's got to be more I can do for that. The asthma epidemic is something quite difficult to get done. I mean, reducing car usage is good, which gives me an idea. There was a very popular idea going through when it came to transport. Yeah, there it is. Telecommuting initiative. Doesn't cost that much. Will massively reduce car usage and commuter membership while also making the commuters happier. Makes parents happier, trade unionists happier. Pretty much everybody wins with this one. It just requires a little bit of investment, but not that much really. So on top of this, I think I'll put in a clean fuel subsidy. That will help boost the environment. Motorists are happy as well because they also have less fuel to spend if it's a bit more fuel efficient. And I could put some fuel efficiency standards in. They're relatively popular. It reduces oil demand, CO2 emissions, makes the capitalists a little bit less happy, so I won't do too much, but increase the income of motorists. Will increase car usage a little bit. However, car usage won't be a massive problem when it comes to the environment because we're getting more efficient standards. Right, it's been an immigration scandal, which is not good. Okay, that's not something that we can really affect, that's just something that happens sometimes. The Warriors of Gaia. Oh no. A green terror group. Yeah, but we're starting to do stuff for them now, aren't we? We're starting to do stuff for them. They should be quite happy with us, I think, in the future. This alcohol issue is just about to go away. Okay, that's good. That's an extra 50 billion in the bank for us, nearly. The asthma epidemic is a very big problem that's very hard to actually sort out. And other than reducing car usage, which I've been trying to do, and it is going down quite sharply, so you never know, we might see a bit of a help in that. The improvements to the police force is helping massively with that. Private healthcare is not something I really want to look at. State healthcare I could improve even further. Not massive surplus, that's the only thing. There's got to be there has to be something that can help us a little bit with that. Healthcare vouchers maybe? Very expensive though. I tell you what, that is a good idea. Youth club subsidies definitely reduces crime, makes people happier. Some will say it's an unnecessary expense paid for by taxes, but when we've got such a big surplus, we might as well invest in something that can help people out. And it's just a good thing for us to have, I think. So we're getting close to re-election time now, only 4 more turns. Everyone seems pretty happy with me. The polls have me at 66%, that's pretty good. Obviously there'll be people that are a bit apathetic towards voting, so might be something that we see. Crime is shot down. Absolutely shot down, which is fantastic, because internet crime should then be on the reduction. The alcohol abuse will be gone soon, so we'll have even more money to spend. Considering that, maybe we should bring some things in. Child benefit, disability benefit, welfare fraud department. Look how popular that is, and it wouldn't even give us much income. But I think that's more due to the fact that there just isn't that much welfare in the US, really, is there? Other than state pensions. Did we get state housing? We did, didn't we? Unemployed. Incredibly, homelessness is still. I suppose it takes a long time though. There's a long delay with state housing, because obviously it takes a long time to build houses, buy houses, that sort of thing. Unemployment, again, GDP, isn't it? It's simply GDP. Once that brain drain's gone, I thought it would have gone by now. Okay, it will do next term. It should have done already, but it hasn't. Sometimes there could be a small delay in that, so I will try and do some things to boost our economy a little bit, I think. Why not? So, there are some things you can do here, but I think there's also... Is it in tax, maybe? Yeah, okay. I think, yeah, so Enterprise Investment Scheme encourages investments in companies, helps boost the economy a little bit, only costs us 21 billion, and boosts our GDP quite a considerable amount. Socialists aren't too happy, because we're investing in making people richer, etc, etc. But I think we should be okay for that. So the skills shortage is gone, the brain drain's gone, which means GDP has rocketed. Absolutely rocketed. Very happy about that. So, strong support of human rights. So looking at the polls, trade unionists, liberals, middle income parents. Right. So based on that, I'm going to appoint the judge that's a strong supporter of human rights. They seem like they'll go for them more. The polls have us at 73%, and the Warriors of Gaia are starting to reduce their threat now, which is good, because I've done a lot for the environmentals, and I think they should be quite happy about that. So, trade unionists aren't the happiest. Labour laws are very pro-employer. Right. Definitely balance that out a bit. Balance that out a bit. Our GDP is rocketing up now thanks to multiple different investments. So, you know, things are going to hopefully get a little bit better. Yeah, the thing is, high immigration can cause a reduction in the wages. Oh, definitely that. Improves the environment, and the asthma epidemic is mostly caused by the environment. So, narcotics is on the way down. Alcohol consumption has gone back up. Okay, why? Has poverty increased at some point? That was just about to go. That's kind of frustrating. Has unemployment increased? A little bit, but not too much. I'm going to prevent the construction just because we still have that asthma epidemic. So GDP's risen, health's risen, unemployment's risen, so GDP is just going up and up and up and up and up. And unemployment is going down, which then hopefully should improve our... Look at the surplus now, we have so much money. We need to start investing in something, that's for sure. Alcohol abuse is back on the way down. I may invest in our state health service. I think, a little bit. The police force is already at maximum, so I can't do anything about that. You know what, on top of that, let's go nuts with the state schools. Let's go absolutely nuts with the state schools, and then I'll go to the next turn. We are very, very, very close to the election now. Oh dear. That is not good. So that's good. The credit rating is now AA, which is fantastic. There's been a doctor's strike. Now, why that's suddenly come about now? Of course, labour laws. And it's probably due to an underfunding of the health service. We have a massive surplus, I just noticed it. So I will boost the health service hugely, and that should get rid of that. Now this is the big problem, market meltdown. So capitalists aren't happy, they'll blame us for it. The global economy is in ruins, in a deep, deep, deep recession. We are doing quite well to have a surplus still, but the relative GDP has completely dropped, which is gonna maybe boost alcohol abuse a bit. So the doctor strike should go soon, hopefully. But it's interesting to see that improving labour laws, even though it could potentially be a good thing, has created an issue in that now that with better labour laws, they've been able to go on strike. It's an interesting thing that I wouldn't have thought of, but there you go. Parents are very unhappy because of the doctor strike, drug addiction and asthma. I mean, I'm trying everything I possibly can. Narcotics are just outlawed. Completely outlawed. There's not much more I can do, really. That's not very popular, but I mean, the problem is we've got the election next turn. I can do that if I get re-elected, and I should be getting re-elected, really, unless something really bad goes on. So we'll see how this re-election goes. And here we go. The election results are coming in. The polls have closed. I've got an activist turnout boost of 15%. The opposition do not. So let's see. It looks like I'm going to win this monumentally. There's a lot of non-voters. You can see there's a lot of apathy there. Interestingly though, that was my turnout. So that's the main count. We can break it down a little bit, but the opposition turnout was actually 94%. So this suggests that the opposition have voters who are very determined to get me out of office. So we'll have a look here. I'm actually more surprised by some of them. Okay. Parents, obviously, was my lowest share of the vote. But that was something I couldn't really do much about towards the end. It came up right at the end of my presidency. But I suppose it's not the end of my presidency anymore. So let's have a look at some of the changes we did. My biggest pride moments are probably the crime. Getting rid of all the crime was very useful. Getting unemployment down has been very useful. And the poor earnings have gone up quite a lot now. So that's good. I'm quite happy with that. The GDP has gone up. Dropped down towards the end, but we'll see. The people are happy. Hopefully I can get other people on side, but for the next election it doesn't really matter. At this point it's over. I only have a 2-term limit. This is America, we can't just rule forever. So I've got to make all the investments I can as soon as I can. And so next episode we'll start to maybe we can do some more extreme policies, we can see, but we'll start to make some proper efforts towards doing as much as we can by the end of the game. See what we can do. Maybe we can even show an example of what we can do if you really do go crazy. So thanks very much for watching. There'll be another video on this. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and subscribe if you want any more. Thanks guys, and I'll see you next time.